Hey, what's up, everybody? Jason Dutch here. Excuse me. Jason Dutch here with Voice from the Underground, the podcast where politics and pop culture collide. Boy, this angle, you can tell I'm getting old. But so, um, just want to talk real quick about what's been going on the last couple days. I'm so pretty much every organization has called everything for Joe Biden. I even heard on while listening to Republican radio this morning that Fox News Radio was calling Joe Biden the president elect. Now that is an admission. So that's actually pretty good because these guys are starting to get it. So couple quick things. First of all, just on a funny note, this happened a couple days ago. Barbecue Beer Freedom guy. I want to play this real quick because it's so funny and it reminded me of something. So here you go.
The media's covering up. The Biden crime family steal this election. The media's covering up. The Biden crime family steal this election. The media's covering up. We want our freedom for the world. Give us our freedom, Joe Biden. Your Biden's covering up this election. He's stealing it.
So look, I respect your enthusiasm, Barbecue Beer Freedom guy. But he posted a follow-up video to that too. It was hilarious, where he starts coughing at the end. But maybe you shouldn't have pulled your mask down. But I can't help but be reminded of that scene from Independence Day with Russell Case. Russell Case, sir. Where he goes, I was abducted by aliens 10 years ago. They're doing all types of experiments on us. We got to stop them. They're going to kill us all. It was perfect. He even had the same Randy Quaid voice going on there. That was just perfect Russell Case. So congratulations to Barbecue Beer and Freedom Guy for bringing Russell Case back to life, because we all need more Russell Case in our life. I'm back. So anyway, I was listening to Glenn Beck this morning. Now, Glenn Beck is a big-time Trump supporter, and even he had a guy on his show talking about the silliness with a lot of these lawsuits, but also not so much with the lawsuits, with these conspiracy theories, with the stolen election and the stolen votes, and the rigged election and the boxes of ballots showing up here and there and everywhere. And even Glenn Beck was being strenuous to his audience, which is overly right wing, to practice some precaution in what they spread, because even he admitted that none of it holds up to scrutiny. So that's good. I commend that. And then, of course, after that, he flies down into a rabbit hole about other stuff, about the socialist agenda and the Marxist agenda. And so there's a couple quick things I just want to touch on. First of all, socialism and Marxism are economic philosophies. They are not evil any more than capitalism is by itself evil. Now, there are evil people who operate within the confines of a capitalist state, and there are evil people that will operate within the confines of a Marxist state. But what you need to do with people is make sure that you clarify for them, when you hear this socialist Marxist stuff, that, hey, you know what? It's okay to disagree on economic philosophy. Those are things we can have a debate about. But to call it Satanism or evil or anti-American, they're confusing it with Leninist Marxism, which is obviously murderous. And it's just stupid. So just a talking point on that. And lastly, I think the last thing I want to talk about here real quick is just how can we bring, well, actually, before I get to that, the lawsuits that are in, just to sort of calm people down, the lawsuits that are in High Route 22, hello, thank you for the comment. The lawsuits that are going on right now are dangerous. The biggest fear I think I still have, though, is that the Republican Party is going to try to institute faithless electors. So that's something we're going to have to hold our breath about. But the likelihood that they'd be able to get 37 faithless electors, I think if that's what the number ends up being, with Biden having 306, they'd have to have 37 faithless electors to actually vote Trump rather than vote Biden, and assume that none go the other way. So I find that to be unlikely, especially since like half of the states have laws that don't allow people to do that, but the other half don't. So I think it's 20 states that don't have any laws in the books at all. And no elector has ever been prosecuted, by the way, for voting outside of party lines. If you recall, in 2016, Hillary lost 7 votes to faithless electors. Trump lost 0. But anyway, you've got some pretty dangerous legislation going on in the Supreme Court. RCTD2, it's rigged and it won't matter. Well, rigged for whom and by? See, this is the thing. Rigged for whom, by whom? Explain yourself. So we got a comment here from RCTD2 who says that, well, the court has ruled that electoral reps are not free agents. This from Zen Phoenix 17. That is not necessarily the case. From my understanding, they ruled that the state legislators have the right to make their own laws. So that does not hold true in all of 50 states. So if you research that, I believe the number is 18 or 20 states do not have any laws on the books at all that the Supreme Court would hold up. So like Pennsylvania, for example, does have a law on the books. So if you're in Pennsylvania and the election is confirmed for Biden, is certified for Biden, then all 20 electors will have to vote for Biden, or the way I understand it, and I'm not an attorney, or they would face serious repercussions, legal action against them. But again, people go out here and they say it's rigged and it won't matter, like RCTD2, rigged for whom and by whom. So you have this, people look at things and they say, hey, thank you, Zen Phoenix 17. People look at this and they say, hey, look at all these voter trends. Look at how the voting trends came in, and where did all these voters come from on the left? It's an interesting question, but you have a president who, from day one in office, was acting like a crazy person to a lot of people. Now, 30% of the population thought it was perfectly fine and cheered on everything. And the other 65, 70% of us were like, what the hell is this guy doing? It started with the first 15 days in office. I mean, you got all types of turnover within his administration. You have all types of executive orders that he signs, or presidential proclamations, stopping this, starting that, coming up with this absurd rule that if you want to have a government regulation, you have to stop 3 government regulations in order to make room for it. That's just dumb. And it goes on and on and on, all the way down to what he did with Iran and with Syria, and pulling us out of the Paris Climate Accord, threatening to pull us out of the UN. It's just a lot of craziness, and this polarizes people the same way that it polarizes people for Trump. So it's crazy that it's not surprising to the Trump supporter that all of these people come out in support of Trump. That's natural. But for people to come out in opposition to Trump, that's suspicious. Why? Why is it suspicious to think that people don't like the bullshit that they see? Why is it suspicious for people to think that the other side doesn't get the chance to galvanize and go against this absurdity? We're a laughingstock to my friends who live overseas. And it's why can we not be galvanized against Trump? Obviously we were. Where did all these extra mail-in votes come from? Trump pissed a lot of people off. And they voted because they were tired of the divisiveness. They were tired of Trump telling LeBron James to shut up and dribble, but Drew Brees, why don't you get to speak your opinion? They should let you talk. Why? You think that's not going to galvanize people? And we're not even talking about policy. Policy is something where we can agree or disagree on. You like low taxes? Who doesn't? But you know what? We also like social programs and safety nets. I want health care for everybody. Okay? Including the Trump voter. Joe Biden does not necessarily. At least he doesn't take a stand for it. And then these people, I got another comment here. I fear you give them too much credit. They think he should have won because of the number of lawn signs. Okay. By the way, that's a great point. I'm going to put a big wardrobe box out front of my house, and it's going to say MAGA flag drop off. This is your chance to drop off your t-shirts, your hats, your flags, which you have every right legally to own. But what is the statement you're trying to make with it? So you Trump supporters have to think for yourself, what is the statement that I am trying to make? It can't be, to my eye, a statement against Marxism as being evil devil worship run by lesbians, because Marxism is not evil. It is an economic philosophy that has issues, just like capitalism does. But if you take Marxism, socialism, and you take capitalism, and you marry them together, you get a lot of really solid policy. A lot. Your public park, the police, firemen, military, roads, schools. None of these things are evil, but they are all socialist programs by nature. So the idea that we want to add healthcare to that, and that scares you so much that you fly a MAGA flag, to me that doesn't hold water. It's something deeper than that. I totally agree. It's a red herring. It's something deeper than that. And then we say to ourselves, oh, well, you guys want to make everything racist. Now, let me say this to the left. Okay? Because I'm not a Democrat. But let me say this to the left. I'm a father of 2 African-American biracial kids. And I posted on Facebook back. Thank you, Zen. Me too. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. And by the way, anybody new to this, if you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, we post all the time. You can go to youtube.com/voice from the underground podcast. That's youtube.com/voice from the underground podcast. And subscribe there. You can just Google voice from the underground podcast. So it works better when you put the word podcast at the end. There's a book with the same name. But if you subscribe there or find us on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere, we're out there. So in fact, I'll put let me put the website at the bottom of the page. So there's links to everything there. So appreciate it if you do that. Support independent media. But the thing with the racism is, like, I had a post that apparently I did 8 years ago, where I wrote on my Facebook page, and I got a reminder from Facebook. I said, if I hear one more person tell me that I'm racist for voting for Romney, which I did. In 2012, I voted for Obama in 08, Romney in 12, and that I was going to lose my shit. So I think you have to look at this two ways. Number one, I think we've seen Mitt Romney back off a lot of the stuff that he said. We saw Mitt Romney is the only guy in the Senate who's on the Republican side who said unequivocally that Black Lives Matter. The only one. Okay, out of 52 senators, he's the only one who said Black Lives Matter without a but at the end. So but the left does go too far with this sometimes, with the racism thing, because we have an idea of racism that is not shared by everyone else. You know, people on the right, I don't believe that they think when you say the word racist to them, I don't believe that they think of the same thing. Now, we're not talking about here who's right and what they should think, because we may be correct in our assessment of what racism actually is. But because hate is not a necessary ingredient for racism. You need not hate Mexicans to be racist against Mexicans. Or Latinos, I should say. You need not hate black people to practice race bigotries. There is no hate necessary. Hate would imply that I want to do bad things to them and I hate them. You know, I don't even want them to bag my groceries or something close to that. Yeah, and what they did to McCain was horrible. But, and now Hero 22, I say to Donald supporters who don't want to pay taxes, if you don't want, move to Somalia. So, oh, well, they'll never go there because it's a shithole country filled with dark people. Very scary. You know, white people, we love to say we have black people over at our house, but we never go to their house. Never. Because it's just too uncomfortable when all the cousins show up. I have to, honey, you should probably go put your purse in the car. So anyway, I think the left does go too far with racism, but again, the right doesn't think of racism the same way that we might. And that's a problem, because when you assume that hate is necessary for racism, then you get to brush a lot of stuff under the rug because it's not necessarily hateful or overtly discriminatory. But assuming that at some day between 1967 and 2020, there was some particular day in that area where everybody became exactly equal and had and now suddenly had the exact same access to the exact same opportunities, and pushing that idea along as being accurate, as being this objective truth, is stupid. But I think that the left does need to calm down on it a little bit, because, and I'll explain to you why real quick. Because look, I think that when Republicans go to the abortion clinics and hold up pictures of chopped up babies and yell murderer at a woman who's having a difficult day, that's not a good place to start a conversation. So I won't start a conversation with racist either. I might find out during the course of our conversation that you are indeed a racist, at which point in time I'll call you a fucking racist. But it's probably not a good way to start the conversation, because it could be that they just don't understand. Yeah, Zen, exactly. Black people are almost always very welcoming to white people. White people are generally welcoming to black people, but again, it's about white people in general putting themselves in a place where they are the only white person around and feeling fine about it. and not feeling on guard and uncomfortable, because we expect the black person to come to our house at a dinner party and be the only black person there out of 50 people, and we expect them to be comfortable. But we will not do the same. We just don't do the same. And that just doesn't go with black people. It goes with Latinos or anything. You know, Sikhs, Arabs, even Asians. Pred fan says Donald Trump lost. He needs to pack his shit and be ready to leave the White House by January 20th. So we'll see. He's not going to concede, but so we're entering a tumultuous time. We're entering a time where these people are going to be really pissed off, and they have the right to be mad. Remember, after 2016, the left was pissed. They took to the streets, yeah, and you know the right just made them look crazy because they're good at that. So you have the right to be upset. You have the right to yell and shout. Go right ahead, you know. But it'll be funny how the police won't make you disperse with tear gas like they did after George Floyd. That'll be amazing, because they're not already. They're just, people are saying, oh, look how nice they're being. They're cleaning up their trash and they're being civil, because nobody's yelling at them and telling them to go home. Nobody's yelling at them and telling them they don't have the right to do it. Nobody's yelling at them and threatening to have the military come in with tear gas. Nobody. The worst you got is a couple of counter protesters showing up and, you know, chanting "you lost" or something. So yeah, I'm gonna put a big wardrobe box in front of my house. MAGA flag, MAGA T-shirt, MAGA hat drop-off site. Here's your chance to, you know, take a couple days. Then there's your chance to get back to something normal within the Republican Party, and hopefully we can move together better. I don't think it'll happen, because you'll say, well, look how you treated us during Trump, we're going to treat Biden the same way. But what you fail to understand is, look how you acted during Obama, and that's why you got treated that way under Trump. While Trump was implementing all of these ridiculous policies and saying all these stupid things that you either brushed off and said, oh, I don't like what he said, but, or you pretended was just fucking genius. So, so again, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks for listening. Again, subscribe to the show if you like. Just the website's right there. You can get a link to our Patreon. You can get a link to our YouTube channel. You can watch our promo with the actual Flavor Flav, and you can subscribe on whatever platform you want, iTunes or Spotify, for the audio version. We do a live stream every Thursday, and my co-host Big Haas will do some cigar reviews. So, but please subscribe on YouTube. Just search for Voice from the Underground on YouTube, or go to youtube.com/VFU podcast. I'm sorry, that's not correct. youtube.com/Voice from the Underground podcast. And on Twitter, we are VFU_podcast on Twitter. So thanks, everybody. I'll have another video probably tomorrow, right after I watch The Mandalorian. So peace out.